So only what people can see is above that surface. But what they can't see is the work that's been done. The root system is the know-how, the process, okay? Humility, the way you guys handle it more than anybody else. One step at a time. Right? But the root system's in place. The root system's in place.
It's week 7 of this NFL season and time for another edition of the Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant Energy, here inside the Globe Life studio at the Star in Frisco. Bill Jones along with Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy. The bye week this week. Team will get back together next week. The players will be back next week for the next round against San Francisco. But here we are 6 weeks into this thing. And just to start things off, it's been a roller coaster ride the first 6 weeks. Where would you assess where things are right now?
Well, I would assess probably right where our record is, 3-3. And when we've played to that, and I think, bye week always comes at a good time. I know when you look at the schedule when it first comes out, you hope it's, week 7, week 8. Somewhere in there. So I think this is a really good time for us, particularly just on the injury front. As you can see, as the bye week goes on, our training room and the rehab part of it's full and active. So this will be a really good week. Hopefully get some guys back. But as we spend time going through the football, it always starts with the basics. Our basics are not in order, starting with, taking care of the football, the blocking, tackling, and so forth. So we're diving into those things a little deeper than, because you do have the time. But the most important conversations that come out of this are, how do you apply it? So everything's on the table. You look to tweak and adjust, which is normal. I mean, the process of self-scout for me personally as a head coach, there's a format that I've always followed. Obviously, the data that goes in is, varies each year. Obviously, we've had some negative, moments that we got to make sure that we really stay on top of. But it's really a time to get back to basics. And, and then the other thing too, I've talked about this is, it gives us a chance as a staff to really grind and do the cross the hall opportunity. So when our players get back next week, it's something that I've always been given very positive feedback over the last 15, 18 years, where the process of the offensive coaches coach the defensive players and vice versa. And, those self-scout moments and that information and those emphasis are utilized across the hall, but from a different messenger, from a different lens. And I think it's really productive. So, it's definitely a chance to catch your breath, get healthy, and just take a little deeper dive.
And with the CBA, the players are off the entire week, basically.
Correct.
What were points of emphasis that you left with the players when they get back to work here on Monday that you want them to be focused on?
Well, the biggest thing is, that it's, the schedule's mandated, as we know about a CBA, but this is the time to step away personally. But stay on top of of your craft. Number one, conditioning. I think clearly the conditioning of the team is definitely a positive, just based off numbers from the past and this year. So staying in tune with that. But also it's time for them to reflect. And we've been given a lot to reflect on, especially after the Detroit loss. So take that time, come back in here, really charge your energies, charge up your battery, and make sure you're ready to go Monday.
Yeah, when you look at things offensively, the run game is not where you want it to be right now. What are some of the keys to getting that going?
Well, I mean, I feel like I've said this 4 out of 6 weeks, and it's something that will change, because it has to change, because not only the run game, how it affects our offense, but our run game, how it affects our football team, how we train during the week. Not only for the offense, but you train your run defense. So, I mean, the run emphasis as a whole for the team will improve because you get what you emphasize, and we have been emphasizing it, but it's not been getting carried over to Sundays. And I'm pointing to time of possession. I'm pointing in the action passing game that comes off of that. Also we've been doing competitive periods against the defense on Thursday in the area of run and action. So we're working on those things, but it needs to carry to Sunday, because right now the complementary formula is not intact.
All right, we're just getting started on this edition of the Mike McCarthy Show. Up next, it's David Moore of the Dallas Morning News.
The Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant, was brought to you by Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. Ford, your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Bank of America, the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. and by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com.
I'm excited about the young players getting there, right? And honestly, they're getting battle tested. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's interesting. CD said that to me yesterday. Like, one of the things that's happened is we're being battle tested right now. We are. We're finding out a lot about ourselves and our grit, and it's not just the young players that we're talking about with Tyler and BB, but it's really all the players. And so we'd like to get that stuff now, so when the games get bigger and bigger and you get on a bigger stage, that you feel equipped to handle it. So.
Welcome back to the Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant Energy. Bill Jones now joined by David Moore of the Dallas Morning News, SportsDayDFW.com. Might be a bye week for the players and the collective bargaining agreement. They don't have to show up, but David Moore
Not us, we're
shows
here.
up for work. That's right.
Coaches do a little bit of work too during the bye
Yes,
week.
they do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. And they got a lot of work to do. They better be showing up, right?
Yeah.
All right. If you were in those coaches' meetings,
They would kick me out if I were in, so we should get that right off the top.
Let's go to the offensive staff meeting first.
Okay.
All right, and they gave you a forum. David Moore, what's going wrong the most on the offense? What would you say?
Well, I think the inconsistency and youth in your offensive line has had a domino effect at this point. And now when you step back at the bye, I think you have to look at it as, they with Tyler Guyton and Tyler Smith, they like that pairing on the left side. Now, is that the best pairing right now at this moment? Maybe not, but it's your belief and intent that by the second half of the season it will be. So, but now you're at 3-3, and you have to look at these things pretty critically and go, well, are we going to get to where we need to go, or do we have to go with what the best group is? And you hear Mike McCarthy time and time again talk about the importance of consistency in the offensive line. And what you've had in these last couple of games is by moving, and Tyler Smith has handled outside pretty well, but now suddenly BB has a less experienced guy next to him on his left, and TJ Bass. And so this really does, in fact, and when you're going with two rookies, you're going to have some growing pains. But they need the consistency there, I think, right now at this point.
Okay, now I'm going to take you into the defensive staff meeting, and you're the consultant to the defense. Oh, wow, we are in dire straits here. What is it defensively that this team
and you thought it was bad now. Put me in as a consultant and see how bad it gets. But no, there are some huge fundamental issues with tackling on this team and run fits. And you hear Mike Zimmer talk about the players need to do a better job of getting off their block so they can put themselves in position to make a play. Their mental mistakes are occurring, but at this stage, when you looked at that game, I think there were 11 to 12 missed tackles. That's just a fundamental flaw. And that's something, you don't go out and you just tackle people in the bye week. You have to, that is technique. You have to position yourself. You have to get, you have to go through all your sets and get in position to make that, and then just be physical enough in the game to do it.
And finally, I'm going to take you to the trainer's room. And maybe that's where this team can get fixed more than anything right now.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be, every team has a next man up philosophy. But when you've had a run at position like at defensive end, where your top 4 defensive ends that you projected going into training camp are not on the field, that has consequences even if a person is doing what they're designed to do on the play. I think there's this is a big week for Micah Parsons, how he feels physically about whether or not he'll be able to come back against San Francisco. Deron Bland practiced last week, got close, wasn't quite good enough physically with the knee to do it, but you have I think there's some optimism that he'll be able to come back then.
And you really need Eric Kendricks back too.
Yeah, no question Eric Kendricks, because he kept all that in place defensively. He has a better understanding of that scheme than anyone else on the field.
All right, David Moore, we appreciate it. Enjoy your bye weekend.
Thank you. You too.
And Mike McCarthy Show continues in just a moment. We'll hear from the players and the assistant coaches when we come back.
these guys have been working really hard, and we've been pushing really hard. So, you know, like I said, after the first 2 games, you know, I felt like they were having some confidence and success in what they're doing. But, you know, it's got to show up every week.
This segment was brought to you by Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. This segment is brought to you by WinStar World Casino and Resort. Proud to be the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Please game responsibly.
The Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant Energy, continues now. This is the time of the show where we shine our spotlight on the players each and every week. And let's take a look and a listen to what the players are having to say.
You when you work with a guy like that who works as hard as I do, we tend to work off of each other, and so having I say big brother, mentor, a quarterback, teammate like that, I learn something new about him or his family each and every day, and he understands, you know, my why, I understand his why, and like I said, we just continue to go into each and every workout and find something that we can try to perfect or try to get better at, and then, like I said, essentially, you know, it shows on the field where, you know, he knows that I'll be where I'm supposed to be at the right time, and, you know, I know what he wants me to do, where he wants me to be, and I know that I won't let him down.
Understanding how to prepare and understanding, you know, that I have to take care of my body, not eating the wrong things, putting the right things in my body, doing some, you know, body work, physical therapy and different things like that to make sure my body is fine-tuned. Just not going out there on Sunday and trying to just perform. Just understanding that your performance is based upon, you know, how you prepare that week. And that's how I feel like I've evolved as a football player, and I feel like I've gotten better, just honing in on my craft and adding things to my routine that add value.
I just say, like, with special teams, I just say, man, just you know, just get everybody. You know, I know I'm the one, you know, just carrying the ball, but I just want to get all the credit to my guys blocking me. You know, they be blocking their tail off. You know, just to get me free. You know, just, you know, now we just look you get me, Banger, Trent, and Brent Arbor to the Pro Bowl, and that's our expectations for this year.
I've learned a lot from Eric. Just his experience in the league and just the way he goes about his business, leading by example and things like that. Also being a vocal leader out on the field. Just watching him and how confident he is in running the defense. It's inspiring for a young player like me to see that kind of guy who's been doing what I'm doing for in his 10th year now in the league. And so, like I said, it's just super inspiring for me to see.
Players with a week off this week, but the coaches hard at work behind the scenes here at the Star in Frisco. And among their assignments this week, they got a chance to talk with the media.
Well, we just have to do a lot better in fundamentals. You know what I mean? Everybody has scheme, but the fundamentals are the things that you know, take you to the next level. Guys have to be keyed in their fundamentals, reading their keys, and doing what they're taught to do. So I think we just got to get back to the basics and just, hey, fundamentals.
And, you know, and my biggest thing is just even for the room, whether or not it's a young guy or an older guy, you got to play the game physical. You got to play. It starts with playing the game the right way, and it starts down in the trenches. And as a blocker, you know, being a tight end, you have to be physical. So you got to be physical.
You can never have 9, 10 guys doing what they need to do and one guy not doing what they're supposed to do. In consistent across the board, every snap, no matter who we're playing. It's got to show up, and we got to get it done. We got to coach it better. All right, we've got to get it out of the players better, and they do their jobs. I mean, that's what it's about. And then it comes down to playing with great fundamentals, getting off blocks, and doing that. But as far as the fits goes, everybody got to do their job, and then we got to get off blocks and tackle the football.
As great competitors, you're always wanting to make the big play, and there's also the element of you got to take what the defense gives you. There's always that fine line, and like truthfully, that's what you do in all your meetings. you know, we're fortunate in football, like, you know, these other sports, it's game, game, game. Ours is practice, 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 then game. And you spend a lot of that time contemplating in the QB room, you know, the give and take of decisions. You know, was that worth the risk? In some cases, yes, it is. And in other cases, no, you got to take the profit and move on.
The Cowboys at 3-3 through the first 6 games of this season. When the Mike McCarthy Show continues in a moment, the coach rejoins us and we look ahead to the next 11 games on the schedule.
This segment was brought to you by WinStar World Casino and Resort. Proud to be the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Please game responsibly.
The Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant Energy, continues now. Bill Jones rejoined by the head coach. You know, Mike, you talk about the injuries that you're fighting through right now, the opportunity for young players stepping up. And one of the things you were talking about after the Detroit loss is this team is going to be better for what they're going through right now with these young players stepping up. And I think you're going to see this on down the road, don't you think?
Yeah, I believe that. And in history, in my experience as a head coach, has proven that. I mean, there's no replacement for experience. I mean, game day experience, you can't buy it. You can't buy it in practice. So that in itself is a huge benefit. Now, obviously, you want to have success so you can continue to build off it, but you know, the connection of playing new players, you know, whether they're veteran players with younger players or the different combinations, you know, I do feel this will serve us well because we got a lot of football left. You know, we've played 6 games. Obviously, we have 11 more, so we just got to keep working to get the connection, the continuity. And with that will come consistency.
Yeah, you basically have a full college season still to go with 11 games left in the regular season and then the postseason. All right, guys that you're missing right now, like Micah Parsons, like Deron Bland, how close do you feel like you are in getting those guys back?
They're here all week, you know, during the bye week, so I know those guys are doing everything they can. And you know, as I said earlier, it's a very active training room right now. So Micah, we really won't know until probably Wednesday. Till we get him out there, because I mean I know he's working with Britt, you know, in the return to play stuff. Deron, is hopeful, you know, but you know we'll see how he responds at the beginning of next week.
And of course Tyler Guyton missed last game and came out of the Pittsburgh game as well. How important is it to get that continuity on that offensive line? And you love Tyler Smith, his versatility, but getting him into a spot whether it's left tackle or left guard where he can focus on that.
It's of the most importance. I think it's the most important component of offensive line play, the ability to play next to one another, you know, day in and day out, you know, even if it's just in the walkthroughs, you know, because the communication, the nonverbal communication on the offensive line is critical to the success of them, but more importantly, the offense. So, you know, I would really prefer to have Tyler Smith stay at guard because that's where our reps are, that's where the continuity is. So Tyler Guyton, I mean, he's here. We have a good plan for him over the bye week. So hopefully we can return to that. You know, I think TJ is definitely is a young player that's going to play a lot of football here moving forward. But you know, the continuity of how we started the season, I think, would serve us best.
All right, kickoff returns against Detroit. Cavante came very close to breaking one. What are you seeing now through 6 weeks with this dynamic kickoff and how it will affect going forward as now weather gets involved in some of the outdoor games as we get deeper into the season?
I think you make an excellent point. I think there's been a non-commitment to it. I mean, if you're looking at the whole league, looking at the numbers, you know, the conversations with John and the other special teams coaches, we've been trying to push it because you know we feel it's just in the big picture we feel it's exciting play to the game of football, but also we want to get turf the ball as much as we can. So you can see in the Detroit game we just committed to bringing it out, and that was really because of the way the game was going, but you can see the excitement and his ability to make that play. But yes, definitely as we get into the later part of the season, the outdoor games, hopefully there will be more opportunities. But you're starting to see some things schematically, just like anything. You're starting to see patterns that are establishing. But there's still a lot of people still trying to kick the ball out of the end zone.
All right, we wrap up the Mike McCarthy Show in just a moment.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Cowboys scratch tickets from the Texas Lottery are here. Play today.
Final couple of minutes here of the Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant Energy. I want to take a look at the first 6 weeks of this season and give you an unsung star, which won't be an unsung star to you. A guy by the name of Eric Kendricks. I love the pickup in the offseason and the impact that he's had on this team. Of course, he wasn't able to play against Detroit, but not only on the field, but his effect on that locker room on defense as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think Eric's been a great fit for us. I think, when we go back to free agency, obviously, the relationship with Mike Zimmer, the understanding of the defense, but most importantly, I mean, the guy is a hell of a football player. Super instinctive, very aware, very intelligent, has a really good way about him. I think he's connected very well with the locker room. He's on our leadership council. So, yes, I think that's an excellent choice.
And you were obviously very familiar with Eric, playing against him when you were with the Packers. What have you learned about him now that he's on your side?
I'm glad we're on the same sideline. I'll say that without a doubt. But yeah, it's just his understanding, and that's what the good and great players do in this league. I mean, they're playing faster than the other guys, and that's where we got to get to as a football team. And he is a great example of that.
All right, we appreciate it, Coach. Enjoy your bye weekend. It's going to get very busy once again here in a hurry. San Francisco next week. We want to thank all of you for joining us as well for the Mike McCarthy Show, and we will see you again next week.
The Mike McCarthy Show, powered by Reliant, is brought to you by Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. Ford, your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. Bank of America, the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. And to watch more Dallas Cowboys content on your connected TV, download the Cowboys Now app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV.